Oh, folks, I have big news today. We are ready for something huge. But in order to do it, we need your help. The Lego City doesn't fit in the room that we've got in this house. I mean, if you've been watching any of our Lego City updates, I'm sure you've figured that out for yourselves. In our old house, we had a decent sized Lego City. It was pretty cool. We were already close to filling the room, but it was pretty cool. It was a traditional Lego City. I was loving it and growing it. And then we unexpectedly had to move. And the house that we've moved to is smaller than the house that we moved from, which made sense for lots of reasons, not least of which the fact that our kids have moved out of home now. So we didn't need a 4-bedroom house anymore. We moved into this 3-bed. And that did mean that although my office got a little bit bigger, which is very nice, the Lego room got smaller. There was no way to fit the same amount of tables in that we had in the old Lego room. And I made the decision to go down the route of a shelf city. And the shelf city is cool. The shelves are great, but it doesn't have that wow factor that I need for videos more than for me personally. For me personally, I quite enjoy it, but it just doesn't have that wow factor in videos. Every time I make a video about the Lego City, the comments are full of people saying, it's not a Lego City, it's on a shelf. That's not a Lego City. And when you look at it on thumbnails and stuff, it just doesn't look like a Lego City. The views we get on the Lego City videos aren't equivalent to the ones we got when we had a more traditional looking Lego City. So we need to move it. We need to move the Lego City because we need more space. And that's where you come in, because I have so many plans for things I want to do. Not only get our modular city in with all of the trains moving around it, and I do mean all of the trains. I don't just want one train. I want multiple trains. I want multiple train stations. I made a video the other day talking about how I'm getting into medieval and castle. I want a medieval area of the city. I want to get the beach back out of storage and carry on making the beach and seaside area that I was starting to make before we had to move house. I bought the loop coaster and a load of Legoland sets last year. I want to put a theme park in the Lego City. I've got Ninjago City Gardens just sat right there. I want to get a Ninjago area in the city. My Marvel modulars are in here in the office behind me because they're too tall to sit on the shelves. Same situation with the lighthouse that we've got on display in our landing. I want all that stuff back in the city. I want a big, enormous, cool Lego City. But the only way I'm going to be able to do it is by going and getting a space to put it in, whether it's an office or a storage unit or a warehouse. And we're not in a financial position to be able to go and get a warehouse. Even an office is pushing it a little bit. We did look at an office just down the road from where we live, but once you factored in the rent of the office, the utilities and stuff that were attached to having the office, it was going to work out at about £650 a month, and they wanted a 3-year lease. And that just felt like too big a risk for us to take at this stage of this business. We've only been doing this a year. It's growing nicely, but we have no idea where we're going to be in a year, never mind 3 years. And I didn't want to tie myself into a 3-year lease on an office that we might not need in a year, because it might all go wrong and you might all stop watching and we might have to stop doing the content. Or on the flip side of that, we might outgrow within 3 years, because it was only like a 200 square foot office, which sounds like a lot compared to what we've got now. But if you compare it to some of the Lego cities you see on YouTube, Brixie, looking at you, it's nowhere. I mean, it's smaller than what his old basement was. So I'd like to think if we continue to grow, we would grow out of that with it. So we couldn't really do that one. So narrowing it down, a storage unit seems to be the answer. A storage unit, we found a good one. We found this one. There you go. I'll put a picture of it over my face now. That's a 225 square foot storage unit. It would cost us just over £350 a month to rent that. And as you can see, it is a completely bare and open storage unit, but it's relatively close to our house. Crucially, there's no minimum term on the lease. So if we were to take it on, we could cancel it with 30 days, or in fact, it's 4 weeks notice, so less than 30 days. We're only ever signing on for 4 weeks at a time. So we pay for it every 4 weeks. If we decide we want to move on from it, whether it's because the plan didn't work out or because we need somewhere bigger, either way, we just have to give 4 weeks notice and we can move. And actually, we could potentially move to somewhere else within the same building. They've got much bigger and much smaller units within the same building that are available. So there's a flexibility to move within the building as well. The reason I settled on this size is because it allows me to put a big 200 base plate Lego City in, and also it has power and lighting, which the smaller ones don't. And obviously, if I want to make videos in there, I'm going to need power and lighting. That's quite important. But even £350 a month is a tough ask for us at this stage of where we are with the channel. As you know, we do earn money from ad revenue on YouTube and on TikTok. And we are very fortunate to be in the position after just a year of doing this, where the ad revenue that we make does cover the Lego that we buy. So we're not running at a loss anymore. When we first started out, we invested £5,000 tax refund into £5,000 worth of Lego about this time last year to kind of kickstart the channel. And that initial investment, we've never had to add to that out of pocket. Everything we've done since then has been covered by the ad revenue. But we're also not making any profit on this channel either. And as full-time content creators, that is a consideration for us. And taking on an additional expense for a channel that is currently still only breaking even would mean obviously the channel is running at a loss, and we're not really in a position to eat the cost of running this channel at a loss for a period of time, while my main channel is taking a little bit of a hit because Football Manager was cancelled, which is, for those of you who don't know how I make my actual money, I'm a Football Manager YouTuber, and they cancelled the game this year, so money's a little tight over that side of things. So we can't really fund the expansion of this channel from the other channel, which was the original plan. I'll be completely honest, the original plan, we were moving in to somewhere. I mean, the original plan was we weren't going to move house, and then around about now, when Football Manager started to quieten down, we were going to move into an office or a storage unit and fund that with either the money we ultimately used to move house or money from the Football Manager channel, which was running at a significant profit and now is just about covering our living costs. All of which was a very long-winded way of me not really getting to the point, because I'm still not 100% comfortable with getting to the point. And the point is, we're starting a Patreon at patreon.com/blockpartyuk. And if you want to help us out, it's there for you. Before I even go into any more details of the plan or the Patreon itself, I do just want to get my disclaimers in now, because me and Anna have had a lot of long conversations about this. We've talked about it a little bit on stream, about positioning this Patreon correctly, because we don't want people to be misled into giving us money that either they wouldn't give us if they hadn't been misled, if you get what I mean, or money that they couldn't afford to give us. We don't want to go down that route. We want this to be an option for people to basically fast track the growth of the channel, because being completely honest, this is still the long-term plan. And if nothing happens with the Patreon, if nobody signs up for it, we'll probably still be moving into a storage unit at some point in the next 12 months. And that point will be when either there's a new Football Manager game that comes out, so we've got spare money from the other channel again, or probably more likely, if this channel continues to grow, we'll hit that point at some point within the next 12 months where we can spare £500 a month to commit to something like that, and we can actually kind of self-finance it within this channel. So it's something that we're going to be doing anyway. So it's not your choice to back the Patreon or not is not a choice between a cool Lego City and no cool Lego City. It's more a choice of, we can do a cool Lego City now, or we can do it a year down the line, 6 months down the line, wherever it may be. It's like getting early access to a video game, anyone who comes from the video game world that I come from. And I also want to make it clear that the idea of the Patreon is not to like supplement our income, because obviously I've already mentioned the fact that our income is a little bit lower than it normally is. But we're not planning on using the Patreon to like take a salary, anything. We want to be completely open and transparent about how this money will be used. We've set up milestones within the Patreon, where our milestone for actually going and getting the storage unit is £500 a month, which is a little bit more than what the unit actually is. And there's a couple of reasons for that. One, Patreon take a fee. Patreon's fees average out, once you have fees and taxes and stuff taken into account, the Patreon fees average out at somewhere between 8 and 15%, depending on factors. That was as much information as I could get about what it actually averages out at. So it's somewhere between 8 and 15%. So we need a little bit of a buffer to cover Patreon's fees, and also a little bit of a buffer to cover what if we get exactly £350 in the first month and then 2 people drop off in the second month, and then it becomes money out of pocket that we haven't really got again. So we wanted to give ourselves a little bit of a buffer zone. And I felt like £500 was a comfortable amount that allows us to comfortably cover the rent on the storage unit with a little bit of a buffer zone and cover Patreon's fees, so we're not out of pocket in any way. If there's any money left over, that will all then go towards things like tables, base plates, Lego, sets, parts. It will all be invested back into the Lego City. None of that money is ever going to come in the house. It all stays there. And we've got other milestones set in for if we were to hit higher monthly amounts. So like if we were to get to, say, £1,000 a month, we'll start doing some cool custom build stuff and really involving you guys in the decisions of the custom stuff and learn to do mocks. And what I'm saying is every penny that comes into this Patreon is actively going to be going towards the Lego City and the content that comes off the back of the Lego City. So it will make the Lego City better, which in turn makes the content better and more frequent. So it's not to line our pockets. And final disclaimer before I go through the details. Every guide I've read about how to launch a Patreon has told me to do the opposite of this stuff. I shouldn't be drawing your attention to the negatives. If nobody signs up, this is my own fault. But I don't want even one person to sign up and regret it. So I'd rather, if you're on the fence, you didn't, because then I'd sleep better at night. Final disclaimer is if you don't have money to spare to do this, please don't even click on the link. I don't want to be taking any money off of anybody that they could or should be using for something that's actually important, because as much as we all enjoy what we're doing, that's why I'm making the video, that's why you're watching the video, it's not actually that important. You have other things that might be more important. Please spend money on those, and if you happen to have some spare at the end of the month, then you could maybe consider doing this. But this is only for the people with money to spare. If you can't afford it, please don't feel like you're letting anybody down by not getting involved. That is not the case at all. Like I say, you are not going to be missing out. This city will come, this content will come. It will just take a little bit longer. So this is just really for people who are in a financial position to back us, want to back us, and want to fast forward that process. I think that's enough disclaimers. Let's have a look at the plan and look at the Patreon. We can look at the exciting stuff now. I've got all the disclaimer stuff out the way. I can now get excited again and turn my YouTuber sad face off and actually get back to being really excited, because the project itself really, really excites me. So this is the Patreon page, patreon.com/blockpartyuk. From here, we've got a few bits on here already. We've got an about page, which I'll go through in a second and tell you everything that's on there. We also have the membership tiers, so you can click on there and see what different tiers we've got and what you get at the different tiers, because there are perks attached to all of this. But the most exciting bit, which is where we're going to start, is the actual plan itself. So this is the storage unit. It's 225 square feet. As you can see, it's got a little bit of a problem at that end, but we've measured it out, and it's 5.5 meters from this wall to that barrier, and then 3.25 from that wall to that wall. And then there is space here, and there's 75 centimeters from where the obstruction starts to that wall, which is space to fit a little build table in, which I think would fit in around the obstructions that we've got on there. So we could certainly put a city in this area. On Patreon, I gave an example of like a really basic layout that we could do, which is these are IKEA Linmans. These are the same tables I use now. They're the ones that are on the, we've got 2 of these being used as the project table in the current Lego room. But we could very comfortably fit a 4 table by 4 table layout and be able to access it from all sides. That's 16 tables. That is more than twice the size of the Lego City in the old Lego room at the old house, and would be very, very comfortable. That's what it would look like in 3 dimensions. I love this IKEA planner thing. But because I'm me, since then, I've now gone into it in even more depth and tried to really kind of abuse it and see how many tables we could actually fit in. And we could actually do a layout like this, which is 23 tables. So that's the door. This is the end with the obstruction. So in this version, obviously we don't fit a build table in, but I don't know that we'd need a build table there. I've actually got another storage unit in the same building already, which has a big table in, which if I clear a few bits, I could use that as a build table within the same building. I've already got an office chair and a massive IKEA table in there. So I could build within the building, not necessarily within the unit that the city is in. We could absolutely maximize this for the Lego City, but we can fit 9 tables across the end there, and then have these little islands that come out and these bits that allow us to walk in and get access to it. We can still get in through those double doors and access all of it. I mean, it would be all tables, but it would be huge and epic. I've done a spreadsheet, because obviously I've done a spreadsheet, and this spreadsheet shows the sort of thing we could do as a layout. Obviously, this is just an addition, an initial kind of thought process, but we could have this whole central area. So that would be this whole central area here, could all be Lego City downtown area, which, for context, the space we've got for the Lego City at the moment would fit on this back bit. So just for the modulars and the roads and trains and stuff, we'd be almost trebling the size that we have now before we even add in all the other little zones, the little regions. So we could have an enormous Lego City downtown full of modular buildings and rebrickables and custom buildings and roads and vehicles and trains. And I'm thinking this whole back area could be a raised platform, so we could have trains that go underneath and tunnels, and get the sit complex in, which if you've not seen that on Rebrickable, it's incredible. But we could get the Avengers Tower back in, all this stuff that's behind me in here, and the lighthouse that doesn't fit in at the moment. All of these things that don't currently fit, that we've had to take out of the city, could all go in to that massive area. But then we also have this huge, 6 base plates by 4 base plates. So about the size of the project table I've got now in my Lego room. In fact, I think it's exactly the size of the project table I've got in the Lego room at the moment. We could put a theme park in. We could put the loop coaster on. We've got a lot of the Creator 3-in-1 roller coasters. We've got a lot of the Legoland sets. We've got a Ferris wheel. We'll get the carousel. We could get the Disneyland train. Look, I've even put on there the Disney train. We could get the Disney train in there, which could maybe join up with the rest of the train tracks. I'm thinking we have trains running across the whole thing, all the trains all the time. The theme park could then lead into a seaside with my little seaside fish and chip shop and pier and beach, and we can then have some boat stuff in the sea off the back of the beach, and it would be really, really cool. Over here we could get the Ninjago stuff in. I've already got Ninjago City Gardens. We could get some more Ninjago stuff in. We can mix that in with some superhero stuff. We've obviously got a lot of the Marvel stuff, and there's a DC one on the way this summer, I think. And then we could have a whole medieval castles, Vikings, pirates area where you could kind of flow from superheroes into Ninjago, into castles and medieval, and then drift towards like Vikings and pirates, and get back out to sea again and get some big pirate ships out on the sea. And it's over 200 base plates. I think I counted 205 base plates on a setup like that, which is enormous. And it wouldn't look like this straight away. I don't want anybody to think that it would immediately be this big or this awesome. I wouldn't, for example, go out and buy 23 tables for £550 straight away, because I'm obviously not going to be able to fill this straight away. We'd probably focus initially on this middle area and however many tables we would need for that. So what we're looking at 6, 9, 10 tables as an initial outlay to go into that middle area. And then once that is at a point where it feels finished, we could decide which zone we move on to next. Do we go and do the theme park and the seaside? Do we go the other way and do Ninjago, superheroes, medieval? Do we change the plan completely? Do we decide we want space? Do we decide we want a winter village somewhere in here? Do we decide that we don't want it all connected? We want it to be a whole completely disconnected. I mean, we might take these base plates out and have this as a whole disconnected island that is something completely different that doesn't fit in with everything else. The opportunity and the options are endless and awesome, and it's very, very exciting. I really want to do it. And I am going to do it. Getting back to what we were saying before, I am absolutely going to do it. I want to do it soon. So let's go through how the Patreon actually works. So firstly, I'm going to do it in a kind of different order to what it is on the About page. But if you want to read all this yourself, it's at patreon.com/SpotPartyUK. But this is how the goals and rewards are going to work. So obviously we can't go and get the storage unit until we hit that £500 a month target. And initially, if people sign up, and somebody already has, we've already had someone sign up because I put it on the Discord to get some feedback on it, and someone signed up for it. What a hero. But obviously, initially, there'll be people paying into it and we won't be at the £500 yet. So we need some stuff that's happening before we get there. So we've got some goals in place. The first goal is once we hit £250 a month on the Patreon, we'll start doing Lego City live streams exclusively for patrons. So that and I need to really emphasize that as a normal YouTube viewer, you won't be getting any less content. So you'll still get the same content you normally get. This is all, anything within the Patreon is extra. It's on top of what you would be getting normally. And just by nature of having the Patreon, what you'll be getting normally will increase as well. So if we've got a massive Lego City that we're working on, we won't be doing 2 or 3 videos a week anymore. We'll be doing 4 or 5 videos a week plus the live streams. We'll be getting pretty close to daily content on the channel, I suspect, because we'll always have something that we're working on and something that we're doing. So just through normal content as a normal YouTube viewer, you're going to be getting more. But the Patreons, because they're the ones who are backing us financially, get even more on top of that more. So once we hit £250 a month, we'll start doing Lego City live streams each month, exclusively for patrons, which will basically be me setting up a camera in the city, whether it's still here or at the new building, and just streaming, working in the city, maybe. I mean, and that would be led by the viewers. It could be a tour. It could be me working on something. It could be doing like idea sharing stuff. And it would vary month to month what that actually ends up being. But we'll start doing them when we hit £250 a month. When we hit £500 a month, I consider that the Patreon fully funded. So £500 a month, we go and get the storage unit. We commit to that first month and take it from there and start moving in and buying tables and taking Lego over there. And it's going to be cool. And the content really starts to ramp up at that point. If and when we hit £750 a month, that's when we'll do our first custom modular, which will be designed based on the input of the patrons. So that will be run through the live streams and Patreon exclusive content, and we'll basically be taking on board ideas, sharing the development process. And this will be us doing a custom modular. This isn't a rebrickable. This will be me attempting a mock with your input and ideas, and we'll share it and share the build process and the design process. And it will be a big collaborative community project, and it will be awesome. And then if and when we hit £1,000 a month, we create Patrons Alley within the city, which is where we basically start a street full of these custom buildings. So when we finish the first one, we do another one and another one and another one. And my plan eventually would be to take Patrons Alley to Lego conventions and actually display it as these are the buildings that we've built in collaboration with the Block Party community, and take it to conventions and show it off and let people see what we've come up with as a group. And I think it would be really cool. And then obviously, if we ever get to the point where we're making more than that, then we'll come up with new goals and rewards, or close the Patreon, or like close it off to new people, or I don't know, we'll come up with something. Let's face it, to use a football cliche, if we're worrying about what happens when we get over £1,000 a month, that's a nice problem to have, isn't it? And I emphasize as well, if we get to that level, all of that is being invested back into the channel, back into the content. So if we're making £1,000 a month on this, we've got 500 that's covering the rent and the fees and all of that stuff, and another 500 that we're then using to buy parts for these custom things, to maybe go out and get some of the older modulars or part stuff out on Rebrickable, or buy base plates. I mean, 200 base plates is not cheap. They're $7.99 each. The tables are not cheap. You know, there's so much stuff that we can throw money at. Don't worry, we're going to find ways to spend money. And then this is what you get as your perks as a patron. So the full details of everything are on here. So if you are looking to get involved and you want all of the details, the best place to find a really detailed breakdown is on the membership page on Patreon. But we'll just go through the about page abbreviated version now. So we've got a number of different levels. The first level is the builder level at £3 a month, where you get your name in every Lego City update video. So in it, we'll have like a credits that run at the end of every Lego City update, thanking all the patrons, and there'll be a list of names. Your name will be on that list, and there'll also be some Patreon exclusive content, polls, voting on. It'll be stuff like voting on what we build next, feedback on stuff that I'm doing. Like I'll do little work behind the scenes, work in progress stuff. There'll be little snippets of content that appear on the Patreon, all focused around the Lego City. The architect level is £5 a month, which gets you early access to videos and monthly shout outs in live streams. So again, the Lego City update videos, you'll get them early if you're an architect, and we'll mention you by name on our live streams at least once a month, and thank you for being a Patreon. Engineer, which is £10 a month. In addition, and again, these all roll up, so you get everything from all the previous levels at every level, plus the new stuff. So at Engineer, £10 a month, you get a monthly behind the scenes live stream. You get double voting power. So we talked about those votes on what stuff we build next. If you get to Engineer level or above, you get double the voting power, and also a Patreon only city update video each month. So that's in addition to the normal city update stuff. And again, we'll be guided by what the patrons ask for. We'll focus in on all this content. Will be very tailored towards the people who are going to be receiving it. City developers, £25 a month. And at this level, you get to name a building or a street within the city. And plus, we'll send you a signed Lego City postcard once a month. So we'll do a picture of the Lego City, make it into a postcard, sign it and post it out to you, me and Anna, once a month. That's for everyone at city developer level. And then at storage sponsor level, we need a catchier name for that one. But this is the £100 a month level. We're limiting this to 5 because it gets a little bit more bespoke at this level and a little bit harder to do the perks. So if you're at storage sponsor level, you get to name an entire city district. Obviously, there's only 5 districts on the plan. If we go back to the plan from before, there's 5 districts. So you'd get to name one of those districts. Plus, you get a quarterly one-on-one video call with me where we can chat about your ideas for what we could do to the city. So we literally sit there on Skype or Teams or FaceTime or however it is people do video calls these days. And we'll just have a chat where you can give me your ideas for what you think we could do in the city, and I can share what I think about it, and we can basically have a little bit of a brainstorm and plan stuff for the city together. And then the top tier, the hero block, £350 a month. This is limited to just one person. That's one person covering all the rent. It's basically 300. It's a little bit more, but it's basically £350 a month to rent the storage unit. So hence we limit it to just one person, because if anyone were to do that level, they become the storage unit sponsor, and we basically name the studio after them. It would be your name Block Party Lego City Studio or something along those lines. Obviously there'd be a district named after you as well. We'd also sort you out with a custom minifigure that would live permanently in the Lego City. So there's cool perks at every level. And like I say, lots more to read, lots more detail over at patreon.com/blockpartyuk. If you want to find out more, obviously that link will be at the top of the description as well. And that's it. This has already been a much longer video than I intended it to be. Hopefully I've edited it down to something more manageable. It's over 30 minutes of waffle at the moment. That needs to be trimmed down. But ultimately, if you've ever wanted to be a part of growing our Lego City, now is your chance. I'm excited about where this all might lead. And I'm really keen to involve some of you and do something cool and build this really awesome thing together. So hopefully, if you are able to afford to, you check it out and have a little bit of look at it, and obviously watch this space, because if we hit that £500 a month milestone target, we will get the unit. I mean, I've spoken to the guy. I've met with him. He knows what we're planning on doing with it and knows how we're funding it. We're ready to go. Literally, if this hits £500 today, we go and pick up the keys tomorrow and we start moving in. It's that kind of, there's no messing with this. It's all nice and quick, and it's going to be very, very cool. So just wanted to wrap the video up by thanking you for being a part of this community. If I have phrased anything badly and caused offense, know that I am coming at this from a good place and didn't do it on purpose, and genuinely don't want to be conning anybody, ripping anybody off, and hopefully that comes across in the way we've presented the video. But thank you for watching. Thank you for liking, subscribing, being part of the Discord, watching the live streams, being a YouTube member. You know, it all helps move us in the right direction, because ultimately this is somewhere we're heading anyway, and this is just a shortcut, but we will get there anyway. I think I've said everything I need to say. I need to go and have a lie down. This video has stressed me out more than any video I think I've ever made before. But thanks for watching.